Welcome back to my channel, The Coin Spot. Today is best top 4 coins, one you want to miss. We're diving into the world of United States coins. Please don't skip this video, so let's get it started. Top 1. The 2007 Canadian penny, 1 cent, is part of the series of Elizabeth II pennies, struck during the later years of Canada's 1 cent coinage. As you may know, Canada officially ended distribution of pennies in 2013, though they remain legal tender. So coins like this are of special interest to collectors. By 2007, the penny's composition had long ago changed from traditional bronze to plated metals, steel core, to reduce cost. The 2007 coin reflects that modern era in Canadian coinage physical and technical specifications. Here are the standard specs for a 2007 Canadian 1 cent coin for the common magnetic version. Feature value description. Denomination 1 cent. Country issuer Canada, year 2007. Composition copper-plated steel, 94% steel, 4.5% copper plating, 1.5% nickel. Weight 2.35 grams. Diameter 19.05 millimeters, thickness 1.45 millimeters. Edge plane smooth, no reading. Orientation, axis, metal alignment, i.e. both sides upright when flipped, top to top. Mint mark struck by the Royal Canadian Mint. The RCM logo appears under the Queen's bust on the obverse, from around 2006 onward. Design and artistic elements. Obverse, front side. The obverse bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, in an uncrowned bust. Surrounding legend, Elizabeth II D.A.G. Regina. Below the bust, the Royal Canadian Mint logo, RCM logo, is placed in lieu of a P mint mark, because by 2006 and after, all 1 cent coins were copper-plated steel, making a distinguishing P mark unnecessary. The obverse portrait design is by Susanna Blunt, with engraving by Susan Taylor, for the legends. Reverse, back side. The reverse features the familiar maple leaf twig with 2 maple leaves on 1 twig, a long-standing motif in Canadian cent coinage, used since 1937, except for the 1967 cent which had a rock dove. The denomination 1 cent is above the leaf twig, 2007, the year, is to the left of the twig, and Canada is along the bottom. The KG initials appear near the twig, representing George Kruger Gray, the original designer or contributor of the maple leaf design used in many Canadian coins. The aesthetic is classic and modest. The obverse shows the monarch, while the reverse emphasizes Canadian symbolism, maple leaves, and clear denomination marking. Varieties and magnetic non-magnetic versions. One interesting feature of the 2007 Canadian 1 cent coin is that there are both magnetic and non-magnetic varieties, i.e. some versions will stick to a magnet, others will not. The magnetic version, the more common one, is struck in copper-plated steel, making it magnetic, steel core. There is also reference to a non-magnetic version, which may be a special or non-circulating variety. Some numismatic sources list a non-magnetic version for collectors because of these two possibilities. Checking magnetism can help identify which variety you have. Additionally, before 2006, pennies sometimes had a P mint mark to denote plated compositions. But by 2006 onward, that P mark was dropped, and the standard RCM logo took its place under the bust mintage and rarity. The mintage for the magnetic 2007 penny was quite large. 938,270,000 coins. Some sources quote slightly different figures. For instance, Alnumis lists 846,420,000 for the 2007 copper-plated steel version. Because of that high mintage, the common circulated 2007 penny is not especially rare. In modest grades, however, non-circulating or proof versions, or special mint sets, tend to have much lower quantities and thus more interest from collectors. Market collector value. Because the 2007 penny is relatively common in circulated state, its collector value over face is modest unless it's in excellent condition, uncirculated, proof, or a rare variety. Here's a summary of valuation trends. In circulated condition, the coin is often worth roughly its face or just a few cents, depending on where. In mint state uncirculated condition, values rise. For instance, some coins graded MS63, MS64, etc., fetch higher premiums for the non-circulating proof or special collector versions. Premium pricing is typical. For example, a 2007 proof non-magnetic heavy cameo penny is offered in listings at tens of dollars, in Canadian dollars, depending on quality. As a concrete example, one listing for a 2007 magnetic Canadian 1 cent maple leaf penny, brilliant uncirculated, has a price of 50 cents for a new mint, uncirculated, version. Another listing shows a proof, non-magnetic, heavy cameo version being listed for 16 Canadian dollars and 98 cents in a collector marketplace. Of course, actual sale prices depend heavily on condition. surface marks, luster, toning, and whether the coin is certified by a grading service. Top 2. The Canadian 1-cent coin, penny, in 2004 is part of the Elizabeth II Fourth Portrait era, which ran from 2003 to 2012. In 2003, the Royal Canadian Mint introduced a new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Used through 2012 at this time, the Mint was producing coins for both regular circulation and for collector mint sets. Some coins are business strikes meant for everyday use, others are numismatic, uncirculated in sets, special rolls, etc. Physical and technical specifications below are the standard technical specifications for the 2004 Canadian 1-cent coin, general circulation version most commonly encountered. Feature specification: denomination 1 cent, 1 cent, year 2004, country of issue Canada, catalog, Kraus, number KM number 490 for regular version. There is also a P version cataloged separately as KM #490A for the steel/plated version, composition copper-plated zinc. For the non-P version, the P version is copper-plated steel. Weight 2.25 grams for the copper-plated zinc version. P-plated steel coins tend to weigh somewhat more. Steel content, roughly 2.35 g for the steel/plated version. Diameter 19.05 mm, thickness 1.45 mm. Edge smooth plain, no reeded edge. Orientation metal alignment, both sides upright when flipping top to top. Obverse, front, design portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, 77 years old in 2004, facing right, bareheaded, no crown, designed by Susanna Blunt. The inscription around is Elizabeth II D.G. Regina. Reverse, back, design 2 maple leaves on a single twig, date, 2004, on left, Canada on the bottom, with designer George Edward Kruger Gray, initials KOG, near twig varieties, mint marks and P versions in 2004. There are a few important varieties to know about regular circulation: copper-plated zinc, non-magnetic. Most 2004 cents are made with copper-plated zinc and are non-magnetic. This is the standard version people find in everyday change. P mark steel-plated, magnetic version. There is also a version marked with a P under the Queen's bust equals indicates a plated steel version which is magnetic. These have copper plating over steel. Mintage for the 2004 P version is about 134,906,000 coins. Non-circulating collector proof brilliant uncirculated sets. Some 2004 pennies are part of BU, brilliant uncirculated, mint sets, or minted for collector rolls. These versions may have special finishes or be packaged. Their mintage is much lower relative to circulation coins. For example, the BU P version, 2004 P, and other collector roll coins. Magnetism differences. Because of the 2 different metal compositions, one can test with a magnet. Steel-based P coins are magnetic, zinc-based non-P are not. This is one of the easiest ways to tell which variety one has. Mintage numbers and how common it is. The regular non-P 2004 cent coin, copper-plated zinc, non-magnetic, has a mintage of about 653,317,000 coins. The P-plated steel version, magnetic, has a mintage of about 134,906,000 coins. Compared with many other years, that makes the non-P version very common. The P version is less common but still not rare. Value and collector pricing. Because most 2004 pennies are common, their value over face depends heavily on condition, finish, and which variety. Here's what typical values look like, and what drives premiums: condition type, approximate value, ordinary, circulated, non-P, common, worn, essentially face value, 1 cent, sometimes slightly above, a few cents. Depending on demand and condition: uncirculated, non-P, good luster, minimal marks. Some collector interest could sell for $0.25 to $1 or more for. Higher grades: P version, uncirculated, good condition because of magnetic property and P mark, tends to fetch a bit more than non-P in similar condition. Still not extremely high unless very high grade proof collector set versions. These can command higher premiums depending on finish, packaging, and grade. Possibly several dollars, CAD or USD, depending on condition and rarity. Values are approximate at time of writing and vary by marketplace, condition, grading, and demand. Known rarity, error coins and interesting varieties. I did not find major reported off-metal mule errors or extremely valuable rare errors specific to the 2004 cent like some years have. Most 2004 varieties are based simply on metal type, P versus non-P, finish, BU mint set proof, and condition. There are no widely recognized off-metal P. Non-magnetic or similar anomalies for 2004 that are considered high-value error coins. Top 3. The 2001 Canadian 1-cent coin, Queen Elizabeth II era, including its design, varieties, minting details, collector value, and where you can buy or sell one. If you need photos or help identifying if a coin you have is valuable, I can help with that too. Design and historical context. In 2001, the Royal Canadian Mint produced the standard maple leaf twig penny bearing the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait, by Dora de Pedery Hunt, shows the Queen at about age 64, facing right. The around the obverse include Elizabeth II de Regina, which means Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. The reverse, back, shows two maple leaves on a twig, a design by G.E. Kruger-Gray that has been used for many decades on the 1-cent coin. 2001 is in the period when the Royal Canadian Mint was using copper-plated zinc for the main circulation version. This is after the shift away from the older bronze coins. The use of copper plating over zinc gives it the usual reddish/brown penny look, though over time the color may change with wear and oxidation. Physical and technical specifications. Here are the standard technical details for the 2001 Canadian penny. Feature specification: denomination 1 cent, year 2001, minting 919,358,000 coins for the standard circulation version. Composition: copper-plated zinc, non-magnetic. For the standard version, weight 2.25 grams, diameter 19.05 millimeters, thickness 1.45 millimeters. Edge plane smooth, no reading. Orientation metal alignment, i.e. both sides upright, top to top, as is typical for Canadian coins. Varieties and special versions. While the vast majority of 2001 pennies are the standard copper-plated zinc ones for circulation, there are some things to know about special versions, collector issues, and varieties. P. Marked coins. There are P composition marked versions, i.e. with a P under the Queen's bust, used in coin sets or proof/specimen type issues. These usually indicate an alternate composition, in some years plated steel or a finish set apart for collectors. However, for 2001, the standard circulating coins are non-magnetic copper-plated zinc and do not have a P mark. The P ones tend to be in mint sets. Finish quality variants. Collector versions include proof or proof-like finishes, specimen sets, or uncirculated mint sets. Some of these have heavy cameo or cameo finishes where the contrast between the polished fields and raised design is sharper. These are more desirable among collectors. For example, there's a 2001 Canada 1 cent proof penny heavy cameo listed on eBay. Magnetic varieties. For 2001, standard copper-plated zinc coins are non-magnetic. There was not yet a general shift to steel, magnetic. For regular circulation pennies, it came later. So magnetism is one way to tell a special or alternate composition if you come across P or other non-standard mint issues. Error coins. Like most years, coins with minting errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, etc. can be more valuable. But I did not find references to extremely famous or high-premium mainstream errors for 2001 pennies. If you have one, condition and documentation grading makes a big difference. Rarity and how common it is. The 2001 penny is a very common coin in circulation. With nearly 919 million minted for standard circulation, most coins you find will be this version because of the large mintage, and because most were used and circulated, many are worn, discolored, or damaged. High-grade/uncirculated examples are less common, and thus more prized. Collector versions are much fewer and are what tend to carry a premium over face value. For this date value collector pricing, here's a breakdown of how the value tends to depend on condition and variety. All prices are approximate. Actual realized value depends on condition, grading, and demand. Condition type: expected value circulated, average condition, worn, discolored, essentially face value. 1 cent circulated, nice red-brown or red color, little wear, more, perhaps CAD $0.10 $0.50 depending on eye appeal. Uncirculated BU, brilliant uncirculated. Standard coin CAD $0.50 $2 or more depending on grade. High graded coins, MS65 or higher, good color, sharp details. Several dollars, maybe CAD $5 $20 plus depending on how perfect and red the coin is. Proof like heavy cameo specimen versions, these are more valuable. Some listings show proof heavy cameo pennies of this date asking CAD $3 $5 or more. With better condition or rare finish. Could be more interesting. Notes: trivia: this coin is part of the series that uses the Dora de Pedery Hunt portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was used from 1990 until 2003. After that, there were further updates. 2001 is still some years before the penny was discontinued. Official distribution ended in about 2013. So many coins of this and surrounding years remain common in collections, and even household change. The maple leaf twig reverse design is iconic in Canadian coinage, used for many decades. Collectors often like to collect sets showing the changing portraits of the Queen and subtle composition changes. Top 4. The 1997 Canadian 1-cent coin represents a significant turning point in the history of the Canadian penny. Up until 1996, pennies had been minted with high copper content, bronze/burnished copper alloys. However, rising metal costs made this increasingly expensive. In 1997, the Royal Canadian Mint changed the composition of the cent coin. It moved to a non-magnetic core of zinc, plated with copper. This change allowed for cost savings along with that change in metal. 1997 also saw a change in shape back to a round coin. Before that, 1996 and earlier, pennies had a 12-sided shape, a dodecagon, to help visually impaired people distinguish denominations. In 1997, the coin reverted to being round to better handle the copper plating process and to simplify production. The design elements, portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, maple leaf twig reverse, etc., remained consistent with previous years. The obverse portrait is by Dora de Pedery Hunt, and the reverse by George Edward Kruger Gray. Technical and physical specifications. Here are the technical features of the 1997 Canadian cent denomination 1 cent, CAD. Issuer mint, Royal Canadian Mint, Canada, most coins from Ottawa. Year, 1997. Composition, copper-plated zinc, i.e. 98.4% zinc core, with a very thin copper plating. This composition makes the coin non-magnetic. Weight, about 2.25 grams. Diameter 19.05 millimeters. Some sources note 19.1 millimeters due to rounding. Thickness, approximately 1.45 millimeters. Edge, plain smooth, no reading. Shape, round, after changing back from 12-sided in 1997 to facilitate plating, among other reasons. Obverse design, portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, age 64, by Dora de Pedery Hunt, legend reading Elizabeth II d. Regina. Reverse design, 2 maple leaves on a twig, date 1997, on left, or appropriate placement. Canada at bottom. Designer initials KG for Kruger Gray mintage and how common it is. Mintage. 549,868,000 coins were minted in 1997 for general circulation. Because of this high mintage, the coin is quite common in typical circulated condition. Many coins were used and remain in circulation, or have survived in pocket change, collections, banks, etc. Collector or special finish versions are much fewer in number. These are usually part of mint sets or special packaging varieties and special forms. While 1997 coins are relatively straightforward, there are still a few notable varieties. Special forms to be aware of: proof specimen, proof-like coins. There are proof versions, solid bronze flans, that are struck for collector sets. Proof coins tend to have sharper strike, mirrored fields, more contrast, etc. There are proof-like and specimen coins in uncirculated sets as well. These may have differing finish and luster from regular business strike coins. Finish color varieties. Typical business strike coins will lose their red finish over time, becoming red-brown or brown. Fully red or red-brown high-grade coins are more desirable. High grades equals mint state, MS, with very little wear, excellent luster. Frequently collectors refer to MS red, full red color, MS red brown, etc. Rarity in high grades. Although the coin is common in average circulated condition, in very high grades, MS64, MS65, etc., especially with full red color, the coin is much scarcer. For example, one shop lists a 1997 Canada 1 cent ICCS certified MS67 red coin offered for $102 Canadian. Lesser high grades like MS66 red, MS65 red carry lower premiums but are also collected. Shape change reversion. As noted, 1997 was the year the smooth round shape returned. So shapes from before, 12-sided, versus after mark a visible change. For collectors, the shape change is one characteristic to note when comparing coins from 1996 versus 1997 versus later market collector value. Here's what the market looks like for 1997 pennies, depending on condition, variety, finish, condition type. Approximate value circulated, average were very close to face, 1 cent. Maybe a few cents premium depending on condition and demand circulated, but nice red or red-brown, minimal marks a bit more. may be CAD $0.10, $0.50 or more depending on eye appeal. Uncirculated business strike, full red color, good luster, sharp strike can fetch several dollars. Some listings show values in higher teens to low 20s for MS65 red, etc. Proof solid bronze proof sets collector premium. Proof coins may be priced higher because of lower supply, better finish very high grade certified, MS67 red or similar. These command strong premiums, as noted above. $100 plus CAD in some listings values are indicative and depend heavily on condition, scratch, full red versus partial red, toning, whether the coin is certified, and current collector demand. Interesting trivia points. The shift in composition in 1997 marked the onset of the copper-plated zinc era of the Canadian penny. Over subsequent years, further composition changes happened, eventually leading to copper-plated steel etc. The shape change, backed around, in 1997 was specifically to help with the plating process. Copper plating the 12-sided planchets, the metal blanks, proved more difficult because many coins were used and circulated after 1997. Finding specimens in perfect red condition becomes harder as the years go by. This increases demand among collectors for those in high grades. Where you can buy sell find one. If you want to acquire a 1997 Canadian 1-cent coin or sell one, here are common sources, plus tips for what to look for. Local coin and numismatic shops. Especially in Canada, these often have uncirculated coins, proof sets, and high-grade examples. It's helpful to inspect coins in person to check color, red versus brown, strike, surface condition. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe on my channel for more videos.